Node 564560 connected to Node 564562.
'87 NP test.
And a good evening to you all. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with digital amateur television in the DVB-T format. We transmit on 70 centimeters to a crossband repeater on Cougar Mountain. It spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about our operation, please Google WW7ATS That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage on the internet. There you'll see the exact frequencies we transmit and receive on. And also you'll find a link that will take you to YouTube, where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we simulcast our audio on our 2-meter station, WW7ATS 147.08, with a tone of 103.5. Again, that's 147.08 with a tone of 103.5. So with that, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7NYM. Welcome back to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Checked in by video link already is Richard, K7ITX, Jim, N7QO, James, WU7N, Carlos, 87NP, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, let's get the ball rolling. We'll start out with Richard, K7ITX.
Okay, yeah, Richard here in Kent, K7ITX, with breaking news, Spokane County, Washington, wildfire. It's threatening the neighborhood community of Airway Heights. I've been watching on YouTube this local coverage right now, live KHQ television. It's pretty crazy. In fact, the entire east side of Washington State evidently is in a fire alert right now. There are maybe a couple dozen and maybe a dozen major fires that have tied up thousands and thousands and thousands of National Guard and fire workers. So I thought in the interest of maybe of some of the things we're trying to do is spread the word. Anyone that's watching this report on the east side, especially in the Spokane area, might want to take their phones and go to YouTube KHQ Live for the latest reporting, so you can stay on top of it and stay out of trouble. This is K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX. Thank you for that report. Let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, first, I am not receiving any video. I am receiving audio over the television repeater, just no video. Maybe if there's someone around who could reboot that, worth a try, I guess. If someone else is receiving video from the television repeater, let me know. It's possible there's something on my end. But like I said, I am receiving audio over the television repeater. Well, Dick, thank you for that fire alert information. Eastern Washington, including the Spokane area. Yeah, this. I think a lot of the country is getting hit rather heavily with fire problems now. Things seem to be drying up, kind of strange. It's either flooding or it's burning. Absolutely crazy. But it could be worse. We could be having earthquakes here. They're experiencing that in a couple of other places on the planet. Wow. I promise I will not be smoking as I'm driving through anywhere. So need to be careful. So let's see. Today, our homeowners association had a little get-together, and we had a couple of food trucks. Well, okay, one food truck, one ice cream truck. And of course, my wife just had to get some kind of ice cream, but I didn't. At any rate, it was Mexican food. It was really yummy. Yes, it was expensive. Fortunately, I don't do this even once a month. Wow. And imagine how much more it would cost if we were actually in a sit-down restaurant. So that ate up some of the time today, and then I had to run some errands this morning. And what did I do this afternoon? Oh, my wife and I were catching up on some paperwork and whatnot this afternoon. A reminder that we are voting on some issues. So my wife and I plan to finish that tomorrow because the ballots are due on Tuesday. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
And 7QO, thanks with that, and for your information. Audio is coming across on 2 meters and also on the digital TV frequencies. So audio is moving. Let's go to James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue.
Thank you, Dave. This is WU7N. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get synchronized here. And then I got something to show you, especially Jim.
7N, Whiskey Uniform, 7 November, testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, sounds like I've at least got audio. And there's a picture. Okay, ooh, that hair needs a little work, doesn't it? Okay, so thing I thought I would show you, first off, I guess I should say, Richard, thank you very much for the wildfire information. I was kind of wondering when the chicken would come home to roost. It was just so hot and so dry out there. It's just a matter of time before something would take off, and I guess it did. Let's see, ballots and homeowner meetings. I assume you mean the state primary ballots. I got mine in early this time because I missed it, and they actually sent me a note back saying, you're out of luck. You didn't make it. But homeowner meetings, wow, that's always kind of interesting. In my neighborhood, everyone's apathetic and doesn't really care until all of a sudden they all do over some issue. Here's something I wanted to show, Jim. Let me see. We have a delay here to flip. Go ahead and flip. And did it flip? Okay. So I'm looking at myself 6 seconds ago, I think. Okay, and here, I'll go ahead and turn it sideways, get rid of the block effect. I thought that this was kind of interesting because this is what briefly, Jim, you had offered some input on this, no pun intended. this little op amp, I got an internal circuitry diagram of it and figured out why you can't get out of it what you put into it, because it just doesn't work that way. Over here on this side, your inputs all go via stacks of PNP transistors over here. So you got all this 0.7 semiconductor drop here. And then on the output side, you have an NPN resistor feeding through a resistor, or transistor feeding through a resistor, and so you've also got a drop there, and at no point does it go what's called rail to rail. Notice here's a common ground, and here's your supply voltage up here, but your inputs and your outputs have got lots of stuff in between. So I found out that the behavior of this particular little op amp is quite normal. I paid 10 cents each for 10 of them, and I ordered just the other day. I put in another order, and this one is for a JFET input, a TL072. Price has gone up, though. They're 15 cents each, so if you want 10, you had to pay $1.50. So anyway, that's all the hot news here. Other than that, have had a very busy week, but very mundane things to do. But it seemed like every day it was almost like working for a living. Had teleconferences with docs on Friday, and an annual insurance meeting on when was that, Wednesday or something? But anyway, Thursday maybe. Anyway, lots going on. See if I can flip around, and all I see is my own finger. So I guess I've got it. All right. Well, with that, let me turn it back to Dave, our net control. This is WU7N, and I'm pushing the button right now.
WU7N, thanks for that. Get a quick ID again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, let's pick up Carlos, 87NP in Clyde Hill.
Give me a minute. Let's try that again. All right. This is 87NP from Clyde Hill. Good evening, everyone. So first, details for Jim and 7QO. Both audio and video are coming out from the TV repeater. So I might suggest that you just power cycle your receiver there. Because audio and video are coming out of the repeater, so both myself and Dave and Jim had all images on the repeater, so it seems to be working fine. I had quite a productive day. I finally mastered the milling of the PCB that I wanted to do for quite some time. And by the way, James, the image from your computer was coming just fine, so it was quite visible. Everything was great. So after designing the circuit that I wanted to use, so let me go and switch this to the other video feed, and where we are seeing Dave and Carlos. So this was the PCB that I had designed, and this is kind of seen from the component side. And then, of course, the challenge was to kind of convert this into something that would be useful on the CNC. And so this gets converted to all the G code that needs to go into the CNC to remove all the parts. I must tell you that this took some attempts to get to the right place. I'll show you the boards that didn't work as expected. We got to the right place with the right coverage. Here's the image of all the G. We're supposed to do the right thing. This is the first pass on the PCB by just cutting the portions of copper that are just around the connections. So that was the first good step. This was after removing all the other copper that it's not required. And good state, it had not destroyed any of the vias, which is always a good step. And then finally, with all the drills in the right place, this is what I love about CNCing and all these formulas, is that the perfect alignment in the end between the software and the hardware to get everything into the right place. And so now, let me send it back to my video feed. Just waiting for this transition. All right. And here's the final result of the board that I just finished assembling with all the components on the right place. I love when a plan comes together, someone said once. And so all with the right connectors, and I've just tested it, and it seems to be doing exactly what my breadboard was doing. Always when I close the box, everything would keep working. So hopefully that will be the case. So that was my report of amateur activities of the day. Sending it back to Dave from 87 NP in Clyville.
NP, thanks for that. That looks like quite a project you had. My only question is, do you use artificial intelligence to figure the spacing, or is that something that you have to mechanically manipulate yourself? So anyway, it looks like it turned out very, very well and well thought out. Well, again, this is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. Well, in the background, I'm hearing explosions, but it's a parade going on in Lake City, and it's the pirates doing their thing during the parade, setting off their cannon about every 30 seconds or so as they're going down the street. So anyway, I don't have a vision on that, but I can certainly hear what's going on, and it's referred to as Lake City Days during this week's of festivities. And for me, let's see, today did some yard work, got out and did a little walk in the neighborhood, and that was about it. So anyway, that's what was happening here in Lake City. This is Dave, KD7ZYN. By the way, I got 65 degrees and cloudy out. So anyway, that's what's happening. So I'm going to send it back to Richard, K7IPX.
Okay, well, so anyway, I'm still watching this fire reporting in Spokane. It's pretty interesting. I'm just thankful that here on the west side of the mountains, we don't have that kind of problem right now. Knock on wood. We still got a long summer to go, a couple dry months, and I don't know. We could still be in a boat like our friends on the east side. Hopefully not. Anyway, I've been just pretty lazy today. It rained for quite a while, and finally the sun broke through, but stayed really windy. I tried to entertain myself watching the hydroplane coverage. However, they didn't do too much today. The wind kept raising havoc with the buoys for the course, and then the drivers in the hydroplanes didn't like the rough water so much, so there really wasn't very much to watch. And then by the time probably anything started to happen with the Blue Angels, if they even came out, I promptly fell asleep for the next 2 hours. So I was pretty much dead asleep from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon to about 4:30, and by then the YL was coming back home from her running around all afternoon, and started giving me my marching orders. So it wasn't too peaceful after she got home. I pretty much had to snap to attention and pretend I'm wide awake. So that's my story, and I'm going to have to stick to it. K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Let's move over to Covington to N7QO. Jim.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Well, I still do not have any video here. I did in fact reboot the decoder box twice. I powered it up initially and did not have any video. Then I powered it down 2 more times, and so I don't know. I'll have to go. The decoder box is up in the attic, close to the antenna. I'm going to have to climb up there and take a closer look upstairs. If I'm lucky, maybe a wire will just have fallen off or something. It's not supposed to do that, but I don't know. All sorts of strange things have been happening lately around here. So we'll see. Yeah, Jim, I did not see any of the video. Once again, I thought when you mentioned that, it was interesting that the voltage drop was like, I want to say 7 or 8 tenths of a volt. So that made me feel a little bit better from the get-go. But yeah, they said voltage. This textbook said the voltage loss is, quote, negligible. However one defines that. Let's see. Carlos, yeah, thank you for the information on the repeater. I will. I didn't get to see anything that you put up there because I was trying to see if there's anything down here, a loose connection or anything particularly regarding the video channel, and there's not. I do have an inline amplifier that may have decided to go on vacation, but I'll have to do some inspecting on that. So I'll take a look between now and the next net. Maybe I can get someone to power on the television repeater sometime between now and then as well when I get a chance to work on it. And Dick, yeah, it was. Now that you mention that, it was windy here at my house as well. It wasn't a constant wind; it was a frequent wind, but it wasn't there all the time. But it was windy when I was doing that, and we had some. I don't want to call it a storm cell, but a rain cell that came down here. It rained pretty hard for maybe half an hour or so during the middle of the day, somewhere between, I'm going to say, noon and 1 o'clock, somewhere in that neighborhood. But that was it as far as precipitation at the house here. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
N7QO, thanks for that. Let's move on to WU7N in Northeast Bellevue.
Three, four. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. WU7N. All right, looks like we got audio. Let's see if we get some. Oh, there's the call sign, and there is a picture with the hair under control. Much better. Well, let's see. All I can say is, Carlos, really good job on the milling machine. It's interesting. You removed most of the copper. And I used to do circuit boards in another life, and we would use copper sulfate or something, a photo process, to remove the copper we didn't want, but we tended to do the opposite of what you did. You removed most of the copper and left the traces like little wires on the board. We would do just the opposite. We would sort of isolate little islands of copper using whatever it was, 4 millimeters or something, to make sure there'd be no arcing over. And I guess that saved on the copper sulfate solution or something like that, because it was removing less copper. So I don't know if there was any design reason you removed more copper and left little traces as opposed to leaving lots of copper with just making islands with the components in between. I'd be interested in your comments on that. Probably might not make any difference one way or another. Let's see. Richard, naps are good. I had a nap today. I think we all, that's one nice thing about being in my current employment status. I can take a nap anytime I want. And Dave, explosions are good as long as you know where they're coming from. I guess we lost another F-35. My goodness, we're losing air. It seems like we're losing a lot of aircraft these days. I don't know if this is the COVID hangover from deferred maintenance or what's going on with that. Or are they just flying the military aircraft more? Is that the reason why? That B-52 is quite a disaster. There were several civilian contractors on board, too, so they were obviously trying to test something or do something of import. It's a shame to have lost that aircraft with all hands on board. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I love your comments. Negligible voltage loss. Well, I guess if I was in the marketing department, I would call that too. And I would further add that if you really need 15 volts out, when you put 15 volts in, you better make sure you power the main VCC rail with at least 18 volts. Because 2 or 3 volts, and a lot more than that. If you went, these chips, I don't know if they were dug out of the dumpster by some enterprising kid or what. But I went all the way up to 30 volts for supply voltage, and then you start to get into even more voltage drop, like 26 volts came out. So that's what is that? Four full volts But when I was down to where most people power their projects, 12 and 15 volts, it was as you say, a mysterious multiple of 0.7. And looking at that picture, it just I'll show it. I don't know if you can. I guess you can't see it, Jim. But if you look at that picture, you can almost count the junctions and figure it out. Okay, well, for some reason, my phone doesn't want to flip on me. Okay, well, I will go as long as you guys want to go. I see it's 30 minutes after the hour. This is James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue, pushing the big button right now.
WU7N, thanks with that. Let's go to AD7NP in Clyde Hill.
No, let's try again. Let's see if this time works. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So it looks like we need 2 times after I go after Dave. This is definitely a software bug that needs to be addressed. All right, so resuming with still good copy from everyone, addressing some of the list of questions. And again, by the way, Richard, thank you for sharing that information about the fires. It has been popping up here on my news feed also, and because I follow also a lot of the wildfires in Europe, there's a lot in Spain and France also. So Dave, to your question, yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the point in time of defining what I wanted the circuit to do, kind of having the whole dialogue about what components and how to put everything together. This has all been with a dialogue with AI. It's always a matter of kind of going after what you wanted to do from a circuit perspective. So once I had the components figured out, and this was what we discussed the last time about, I want to make sure that when the relays are in position, then I receive a signal that will allow the power to really leave the radio, to make sure it doesn't go for the LNA that is at the antenna, and it goes into the transmit side. And so after we defined the circuit, I did ask the AI also to design the PCB, which was quite an evolved aspect in the sense that there's always some variations, and but it did a good job. I also then to kind of design this, there's a lot of visualization software for it. I used the KiCad, which is a free PCB CAD software to go and visualize both the schematics and the PCB itself. After that stage, kind of having the design. Oh, by the way, for the design of the PCB, there's a couple of parts that are quite important that they align. I mean, one thing is when you get kind of resistors and capacitors in there, with some flexibility you can put them there. But of course, for ICs or for this RJ45 connector that, if you're able to see, it basically has 2 rows of pins, and then as a way to attach to the PCB, I basically gave the AI the the picture that was on the Amazon web page about all the distances, and then it calculated all the places where to drill. So yeah, it was all designed with it. And then it came the point of, okay, so now it's designed, how do we go about to milling? And that got a little more complex, because the free software that I used first to calculate did not do a good job, and basically it went and cut some of the vias also, and terrible job. I did a second try and also did not go well, because it left some portions and it cut others that it shouldn't. And then the final one, which is a paid software, it's called CopperCam, did a much better job. Now, every time you go to one of these new softwares and new approaches that you've never used before, you can either go with the trial and error and kind of go and click on buttons, or again, I went through many AI questions in terms of kind of what I do now, which tool I should use, because milling, for me at least, it's a lot more complicated than 3D printing, because it's always a matter of selecting the right tool for the right job. And so it starts with a little engraving. And yes, you're right, James. I mean, there is an approach where I just needed to cut around the vias, and I didn't necessarily but for this one, which is really not kind of RF based, this is all about just dealing with some voltages on and off. I really wanted for the look of the board to remove it. There are many other designs where kind of for RF purposes you would leave a lot of the copper on the board also, and some people design even filters with the specific area of the copper that you leave on the board, and so that's also a good way to do it here on the system. So and once you finally get to the system down, it's kind of okay, after you're successful, of course I will probably forget many of the things next time, so I got of course the AI also to write it down and kind of produce a document, not only that I can use next time, but more important, that the AI itself can use next time, so that I don't have to go through all these mistakes all over again and trying different types of software. So I think it was a good validation, and I think the multiple attempts, it took me multiple evenings since probably Wednesday when I started, but I think today was the end-to-end success, and now I'm just kind of some wires away of completing. The next step is to design. I'll just wait for the timer. The next step is to design and print a box to place all the circuit, and that's what I'm in the process of asking. So that's it. You know, takes time, but once you have it figured out, it's quite enjoyable, knowing that you can now get to the outcome. And of course, James, many boxes with many different components. These are some nice connectors and some MOSFETs, kind of many new components that now I will have to leverage into multiple projects. That was it. So sending it back to Dave from 87 NP in Clyde Hill.
NP, thanks with that. And I just see that Wade signed on W7ITL in Tacoma. Why don't you take the air, Wade? W7ITL.
Well, hello everybody. Great day. Nice to see everybody this morning on the board meeting. And I spent most of my afternoon at the DK Club, W7DK. We had a mesh cord node fail. We tried to update it over OTA and end up having to climb the tower. If we have enough time, I can probably show some pictures of my colleague climbing the tower, but we got that back online. But I didn't get to see what Carlos was sharing. I didn't understand the context. I just saw the circuit board, so maybe there's another round we can hear more about that. All right, well, I'll turn it back to Dave, our net control. This is W7ITL.
W7ITL, thanks for that. Oh my gosh, getting back to Carlos using artificial intelligence to develop his electronics project, and I think it's a fantastic medium that you can use artificial intelligence to get so much done. It's sort of a new gateway to electronics and what's going to happen in the future with people designing things and making them operational and putting them into a nice package. And so anyway, thank you, Carlos, for sharing that with us. And I get a quick ID here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. And as far as functionality tonight, video, audio, everything's streaming. Digital TV, video, and audio coming through fine. And our 2-meter repeater, everything seems to be shaking hands with that and working fine. So with that, let's move back up to the one and only Richard, K7ITX.
Okay, a little bit more video fire coverage of Spokane, Washington today. Anyway, yeah, speaking of artificial intelligence, you know, I saw a report where a professor just tried a, you know, in-house experiment for his own edification in grading his students. And so what he did was he compared the quality and the grades of students when they were asked to do reports, or actually I guess we'd call them finals, take-home finals, where they would get a question and then would be able to go home and answer the question and come back with their report, which I always hated when I was in college, because I mean, what they expect me to come back with a book, complete with footnotes and bibliography, and how many pages, and how comprehensive. Would you be up all night and day working on it for the next 24 hours? He compared the grades for that kind of test with essay questions required to be answered in the classroom in the 1 hour period. And he found that the tests that were done in the classroom were the grades were substantially lower, and for obvious reasons he attributed to the lower test scores for the in-class test performance to AI being utilized when the students were at home. Well, I can't blame the students for doing that, because I mean, it's all hands on deck, no holds barred. When you're doing a test at home, as long as you don't plagiarize, I think that was always the key, because plagiarism was a death knell, and it was pretty easy to capture and get caught. I know a student or two that did get nailed for it, but I never did it.
And somehow I survived, and I did okay. And even though in-house classes, in-house tests, in-house finals for that 1 hour when you're in the class, or 2 hours, or however long they give you, I still managed to footnote and have a bibliography at the end of my final. So anyway, more power to AI. That's all I can say. K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Let's go to Wade, W7ITL in Tacoma.
Well, let's see. I don't have the pictures yet, but I could probably get them up real quick, and we can show what I did today. Let's just grab those real quick. Let's get those going. Well, I don't have them up yet, guys, so I'll turn it back to net control, and maybe I can get back to those in just a minute.
And a quick idea again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's pick up Jim in Covington, N7QO.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Well, I have video now. It is either one of 3 different connectors, or or the problem is in one of 2 different cables. or some combination thereof. So I'm going to need some time to decipher that. Anyway, so Jim, I did not receive any of the pictures from you tonight. I got this fixed during the middle of Carlos's last transmission. Jim, that F-35, wonder what happened there. And that B-52, wonder what happened there. Yeah, things are not good for aviation nowadays. I don't know what's going on, but it's been crazy. Let's see. Yeah, Carlos, making PC boards. Wow. When I was doing it, I had this little kit. I received boards that had copper plate on one side, and I had some sort of it was like an electrical tape. I would tape out the traces on there, and I also had what looked like a Sharpie pen, so I could draw traces or tape over where I wanted the traces to be on the board. And then I'd soak this board in acid. I don't remember how long, but it would eat away the copper. And it looks like now the procedure is improved a whole lot since then. I worked for a company that used some sort of machinery to do traces and that, and in fact they would do what they called wave soldering the circuit boards, but that's not exactly what I was able to do from my house. And now it looks like a whole lot better. The designing the layout of the traces and that on the PC boards, I could see how AI would be extremely useful in that regard. You can pull your hair out and spend almost as much time doing that as it takes you to do everything else. So that's a good advantage there. Dick, yeah, I have had some open book exams. Actually, they were take-home exams. So the professors were expecting you to use whatever resources were available. I remember this one particular final this one fellow gave, and he said, everyone just spend about 8 hours on this, and then that's it. Well, I spent like 2 days on this thing. I don't know. I got they scored me with, if I remember correctly, 23% for my score, and that turned out to be a B for the class, believe it or not. I don't know. I had a little talk with this professor. It's like, wait a minute, this is not a graduate level course. This is just an undergraduate working on a bachelor's degree. But whatever. Profs will be profs. So anyway, that reminded me of that, Dick. It's funny how some stories can materialize, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember when. Crazy. You forget some of these things, and something happens, and you go, wow, where did that come from? But thanks for mentioning that, Dick. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
In 7QO, thanks for that. Let's go to James in Northeast Bellevue. 7N.
Thank you, Dave. I'm synchronizing now.
U7N, Whiskey Uniform, 7 November. WU. Okay, looks like I've got audio coming through on 2 meters. And Well, Jim, I wouldn't want you to miss the picture here, so let me show that to you first. And see if I can camera.
Okay, looks like I've got audio coming through.
Okay, so this is the insides, the guts
Jim, I wouldn't want you to miss
of
the
a
picture here, so let me show that to you first.
of a LM358 or whatever. So what's going on? I mean, you and I kind of arrived at the same conclusion, I believe, is you've got all these transistors before you get to the output, and you have all these PNP transistors on the inverting or non-inverting input, and so the power rail is up here, your ground is down here, and there's no way you're going to get what you put in here out here. There are op amps designed to do that, and I went to AI, and they said made some suggestions, and frankly, there are op amps I've never heard of before. So that's one thing this is doing for me right now is I am things and how far things have come. In the last 20 years, I still got suckered on the bag O voltage regulators. Let's see, there was 13 or 16 7800 series voltage regulators for only $3.93. How could I say no? But that's really, I saw an interesting YouTube video where a guy says there's commercial products still being made with those. Stop that. There's better things out there, but they're still fun to play with. They're the ones where, like, if you put 20 volts DC into a 5-volt regulator, 15 volts of it gets dissipated as heat, so it's not really very efficient, and you can burn your finger, I guess, if you try and dissipate that much. I ordered some, let's see what they call it, their 7400 series. I noticed it was on my little oscillator board. They're called low dropout, and you only need a volt or two above what you want out relative to what you put in, and they're called low dropout for that reason. So apparently they're much more efficient. Although the one that's running on my little board that gives me 10 megahertz, it gets quite toasty hot. So let's see. And your comments on education, I think AI is going to force us to a question that is needed to have been asked for the last 40 years at least. What is education really trying to do? Is it a testing service? Are you trying to see if people make the grade in a certain profession, like is somebody smart enough to be a doctor or a nurse? If they are, then what are the skill sets needed to be a doctor or a nurse? For the life of me, I don't understand why a nurse needs to understand calculus. I've never heard of a nurse, unless you worked in some highly specialized research place, why you would need to understand statistics or calculus, but yet you have to get through that in order to become a RN, I believe. I don't think that's changed. And so I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of RNs out there, let's just say they were creative in getting through those courses because they had absolutely no math skills whatsoever. I wanted to thank you very much for the board meeting today. I certainly appreciate you running that. And Carlos, yes, I think we talked about this before. I'm going to have to get some kind of little database going as this stuff comes in, plus what I have already, or I'm going to end up ordering things I already have. I almost did that with this last order overseas, and really think through what the projects are. I went sort of trimmer pot crazy. I had one trimmer pot and damaged it. So now I've got, let's just say I'm well stocked, and probably my heirs will be well stocked in trimmer pots for some time. Very inexpensive, but when you buy as many as I have, it does add up. So with that, let me turn it back to our net control. This is James, WAU7N in Northeast Bellevue. Great net tonight. Learn something. Thank you very much. And pushing the big button now.
And this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. Let's go on to Carlos as a final.
Okay. Let's check for audio. Yeah, I need to give it a little bit of time. This is 87 NP from Clydesdale. And wait, since I don't think you saw it on the first attempt, so let me just to the other screen, and let's wait. So this is basically the PCB that I was talking about. So the first stage is once you get the Gerber file with all the vias, is to define all the cutting lines around it. So, and James, to your point, this could have been a perfectly functional board in itself. The worry though is sometimes you put some extra solder and you end up connecting over, and so what they end up on doing is really asking to remove all the rest of the was the first pass on that final board where I was just cutting the engraving around before I started removing the copper. And then this is after removing all that extra copper before drilling. This is after drilling, both for the components and for all the attachments. And then it was just a matter of removing it from the board. So that's what happened. So Wade, I hope you were able to see that this time around. And this is the board that I connect to the ICOM 9700 to then control the amplifier to make sure that the power that I'm sending from the radio doesn't go to the LNA and gets switched to the right place. So that was it. So final transmission. Again, thank you everyone. It was a great net. And you're right, James. Thank you, Wade, for the running the meeting today. And I put on my agenda to do some work on the website to put some of our more recent pictures. So I'll try to get something done tomorrow. Back to Dave, and again, thank you for running the net from 87 NP in Clydesdale.
NP, thanks with that. Before we sign off the net, is there anything from anyone?
Well, this is W7ITL, and I was going to share some pictures. So this is Seth. He's one of the guys from my club. Kilo Mike 7 Delta Kilo X-Ray is his call sign. And he helped with the project today, getting the new or repaired mesh core node back on the tower. This is him getting ready with all his climbing gear. And him climbing. Going up, up, and all the way up. This is this after we got the node down from the tower. Us doing some work on it. I had to reprogram it. And this is Seth getting ready to go back up. And up and up and away he goes. That's it. That's all I got to share tonight. This is W7ITL Back to Net.
W7ITL, thanks with that. And time to sign off the net. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine, and signing off the digital Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Good evening all. 906.